How are y'all doing today? Georgia versus Texas this Saturday. Wow. What a game. Haven't the national media and everyone been talking about since summertime of this year, since June and July, looking ahead at the future schedules, that this was going to be a really, really, really big deal. In fact, it's been tabbed as the biggest game in college football in the 2024 season. Most definitely the biggest game with the most implications in the SEC for this season. The number 5 Georgia Bulldogs go on the road to Austin, Texas to play the number 1 Texas Longhorns. And today you're watching The Life of Dustin and Allison. You're watching a Georgia versus Texas preview and prediction. And I always give my score, my final score prediction at the end of the videos. If you're new to this, if you're new to my channel, this is The Life of Dustin and Allison. You're watching The Life of Dustin and Allison. This is mine and my wife's YouTube channel. I do all sorts of videos all the time, me and her both. I do plenty of videos speaking on my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We do plenty of vlogs as a couple. We do like vlogs that are 2 hours long. We do little videos that are 5 minutes long. And I also am very, very, very passionate about college football. And during the college football season, this is basically what this channel is. It's a college football channel. Do us a favor, if you're seeing this on YouTube, go and subscribe to our channel. We got 202 subscribers as of this morning, and we're trying to get some more. If you want to see more videos like this, and if you want to go back and check out our channel and see if it's something that you may be interested in, I guarantee you'll find a video that you'll like. So y'all go and subscribe to our channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it. And always, I love when the fans interact in the comment section, especially on YouTube. I'll be posting this video to YouTube and Facebook, but on YouTube, go and comment your score prediction. Tell me what you think. Tell me over and over again how you think that Texas is about to beat the brake drums off the Georgia Bulldogs, and how Georgia doesn't have a chance, and Georgia's going to come down there with Mike Bobo and lay an egg, and Texas is just going to destroy Georgia. Feel free to leave your comment on your score prediction of what you think, how you think the game's going to go. But this is my preview and prediction video. And this is a trash talk video. This is a serious video, a trash talk video at the same time. I literally am gonna trash talk maybe, and I also tell you what I actually think is gonna happen in the game. These are my actual thoughts. This is not I don't do a video where I do a trash talk video and then I do a serious video. This is really actually how I think the game is gonna go. And I'm telling you, this is as big. This is as big as it gets in college football, okay? If you can't get excited for this one, then you can't get excited for college football. It literally gets no bigger, no better than this. The Georgia Bulldogs are going on the road to play the Texas Longhorns. It's wow. That's amazing. It's really windy out here. I hope this isn't affecting the video, but I'll do the best I can. Like I said, this game was tabbed as the biggest game in college football for the 2024 season months and months and months ago when they come out with the future schedules. Everybody had this one circled, big games like Georgia versus Alabama, USC and LSU, things like that. But no game was at the top of the list quite like Georgia at Texas. Now, the Texas Longhorns, it's an interesting thing here because everybody everybody knows Texas and Oklahoma just joined the SEC this year. Everybody's schedule, the divisions have went away. The East and West is no more, and not just Georgia, and not just Texas, and not just Alabama, and not just LSU. Everybody, Tennessee, all the way down to Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. Everybody in the SEC schedule just got much tougher. Okay, much tougher. Just this year alone, Georgia is going. They play Clemson. They go on the road and play Kentucky. They go on the road and play Alabama. They go on the road and play Texas this weekend. On the road and play Ole Miss. And then they have home games against Auburn and Tennessee and Mississippi State. It's a tough schedule. Georgia's going to end up playing 5 or 6 of the teams that are ranked in the top 10, the top 12. So just to give you an idea of that. Now, interestingly enough, Out of all the schedules in the SEC, yes, the easiest one, seemingly the easiest schedule and the easiest path for anybody. And this doesn't mean anything. Like I said, Texas has got to play Georgia this weekend. That's tough. It does seem like Texas has the easiest schedule. I'm not using that as an excuse or anything. I'm saying straight facts here. Texas, go look at Florida's schedule. Okay? Go look at Georgia's schedule. Go look at Alabama's schedule. Go look at Oklahoma's schedule. Go look at South Carolina's schedule. Go look at LSU's schedule. Go look at Tennessee's schedule. And now pull up the Texas Longhorns schedule. Okay? I want to say it's kind of backloaded, but it's kind of not. You know, Texas is going to end up playing, really, their biggest games is Georgia this weekend and Texas A&M at the end of the year. Just go look at their schedule. Look at who they have played already. And I think that when you go look at their schedule, you'll understand what I'm saying in this video. This is going to be playing a big part into this game, okay? I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm just going to tell you right now what I feel. I think, yes, based off what I've seen in the first 6 or 7 weeks, I know Georgia hasn't played up to their full potential. We've had really good offense one week and can't seem to get the defense going, and then it's vice versa. It flips. We excel in one area, or we'll play one really good half, and then we seem to can't put together. Georgia seemingly has not put together a full game this season. But I forgot where I was going with that. But you go and you look at Texas's schedule. What I was going to say first was, now that it came back to me, I do think that this is the best two teams in the country. Okay, I think that Georgia and Texas are number 1 and number 2, and you can flip-flop them. I think they're both the best team in the country. As from everything that I've seen so far this year, I think that Texas and Georgia are the top of the field. Yes, even with Georgia losing to Alabama, yes, I think Texas and Georgia are the top of the class here. And I can't there's no way to overstate the magnitude of this game and everything that it means this weekend. Okay, these two teams are just so storied, and they're just blue bloods in college football. I mean, when you talk about teams like Texas and Georgia and Auburn and Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan, you know, USC, Penn State, this is the top of the sport playing each other. Rankings really do not matter. I think we've seen that over and over and over again this season, especially early in the season. Rankings literally mean nothing. They could put Texas. You could turn your TV on Saturday and they could have Texas ranked number 24, and they could have Georgia ranked number 13, and it's not going to matter when they kick the ball off. Okay. I think that, like I said, I think that Texas and Georgia are the top of the field this year. I think they're the best in the country, the two best, and you can flip-flop them as of right now. But with that being said, now don't get angry when I say this, because I just told you I think Texas and Georgia are the best in the country. I think that Texas is being a little overhyped based off what they've done so far and who they have played. Now, if you're one of these people that's always running around saying, well, they ain't played nobody. Well, they ain't played nobody yet. If you can't watch 6 or 7 college football games and watch a team and be able to tell, no matter who they're playing, if they're pretty good or not, then you don't know you really don't know what you're looking at. At the same time though, I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but at the same time, Texas really hasn't played any. I mean, we really don't know who Texas is, even though I do believe they're one of the 2 best teams in the country right now. We really don't know. Guys, Texas has looked very, very good this year. Very good. They have looked like the best team in the country this year. But let's face it, Texas has played Colorado State, UTSA, UL Monroe. They have played Mississippi State, that they were basically tied 7-6 at halftime until 20 seconds left, and Texas took the lead. Texas scored again right there before the half. And the only other team they've played, they played Oklahoma, which Oklahoma does have a solid defense, but Oklahoma has a terrible offense. Oklahoma had a terrible offense at the beginning of the season in the first 2 or 3 games. And then then they lost their top 5 pass catchers, their top 5 receivers. All 5 of them last weekend when they played were injured. Now Oklahoma does have a really good defense, and I did not expect Texas to put up 34 points on Oklahoma, but they did. Now the only other team Texas has played is Michigan. Okay, and at the time, that seemed like a big win. It seemed like a big win. And then we've seen Michigan go on to not be very good. Michigan has since then, they lost to Washington 2 weekends ago. I mean, Washington is completely and utterly reeling. Can you believe, for those of you that know about the Michigan-Washington game, can you believe that was the rematch of the national championship game? That was, good gracious alive. We thought LSU fell off after 2019. Goodness. Just goodness. Michigan is terrible, okay? What I'm getting at here is I'm not saying that Texas is a bad team based off of who they played. Their schedule is their schedule, okay? The SEC handed them the easiest schedule in the SEC this year. I mean, Texas quite literally is only going to play Georgia and Texas A&M. Okay, Michigan looked like a good win at the time. Oklahoma looked like a solid defense. Everybody know Oklahoma can't score. Look, let me get off that subject. What I'm saying is we really don't know who Texas is. Okay, now on the flip side, we have watched Georgia, and we know who Georgia is. We've watched Georgia go on and destroy Clemson in the opening game. We watched Georgia go on and barely eke out a win on the road at Kentucky. Then we watched Georgia, what happened at Alabama. They went down 28-0, turned the ball over 4 times, and still somehow come back and took the lead in that game. Okay, and we've watched Georgia pretty solidly beat Auburn at home, and then the very next week have a lot closer than expected game against Mississippi State. I have come to the conclusion and the realization that college football this day and time, with the transfer portal and with NIL and with all these players, you know, if you're not at least second string, you're going to transfer somewhere. It has evened the playing field to a much more even level than ever before in this sport. Used to, the top 5 teams in the country would just be above and beyond. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia would just be above and beyond everybody. And when they played teams like Mississippi State, it was just going to be a blowout. You know, everything is just a lot more even this day and time. It's like Kirby said, not only because of this transfer portal and stuff like this are we losing depth inside of the game on Saturday, but we're also losing quality depth in practice, like our guys going against the best on best. And it is clearly affecting everyone. If you look across our league this year, I mean, just look. Number 4 Tennessee just went down to Arkansas. Alabama just went down to Vanderbilt. Alabama played a close game last week. I mean, a close a game as you can ever play last weekend. So I'm still trying to figure this out, which, like I said, the rankings don't matter anyway. So Tennessee beats a bad Florida team. Well, I say a bad Florida team. This is the SEC. There's 300-pounders on the lines of scrimmage, and everybody's got athletes. You can get beat any week. So Tennessee beats Florida by 6 points, and they drop from number 8 to number 11 in the AP poll. And Alabama literally barely ekes and comes to a screeching halt, scraping by South Carolina 27-25, beats them by 2 points. And Alabama doesn't move at all? I can't understand. Well, actually, I can understand. It's all about money, and they're trying to keep Alabama high up in the rankings as they can so they can put them in the playoffs at the end, so they won't lose that big Alabama fan base in the playoffs. But that's neither here nor there. Rankings don't matter, and rankings ain't going to matter this weekend. I'm just simply saying that we've seen Texas, and we really don't know who they are because they really haven't played a high level of competition, or I can assure you they haven't played anybody that has faced. They have not faced anybody that's going to have anything even comparable to what they're going to see this weekend in Georgia. Yes, we've watched Georgia this year. A lot of people label me as a Disney dog. A lot of people say I'm way too optimistic. I just always think you just think the Dogs are going to win 50-0 every single time. And keep in mind, my score prediction will be at the end of the video. You just think Georgia's going to dominate and win every single game. You know, you just think this and you just think that. Well, I'll even admit to you, okay, this year Georgia has underperformed what I expected them to do. Okay, I did expect Georgia to look a lot crisper than this, especially on offense. Our defensive backs haven't looked just awesome. Okay, but also this is football, guys. There's 300-pounders in the SEC. There's 300-pounders on the other lines of scrimmage. They're not just going to lay down and die. They're not just going to lay down and say, "Okay, Georgia, go ahead, you win this game." You know, when you got a man across from you that's 6'5", 315 pounds, you're not just going to whip his butt every time you snap the ball. Okay, he's going to get you sometimes, and that's just what's happened. And like I said, you've seen it across the country this year. You've seen it across our league. You've seen it across the SEC this year. The only 3 undefeated teams in the country are Texas, Oregon, and Penn State. Oregon had a good win last week against Ohio State, but Penn State, they literally, they were down 2 touchdowns at halftime to USC. And I'm sorry, USC's not a great team. Not a great team. I see USC is like a anywhere from 25 to 30 range. You know, they got a good passing game. Their defense looked a lot better than we thought they were going to look against LSU, but then they have since regressed. Texas is number 1 right now. They look like the number 1 team in the country. I think they deserve the number 1 ranking right now, but we're just going to have to see this weekend. And I think we're really going to find out this weekend really who Texas is and really who Georgia is. You know, we have to understand that these guys are 18 to 23 years old. They go into games against Mississippi State, and they think, you know, we got this. And at the same time, I'm just saying anybody who plays Georgia right now, since 2021, Georgia has been the very tip top of the sport. I know they're ranked number 5, but when they play teams like Auburn, when they play teams like Mississippi State, you have to keep in mind that they're getting the other team's best shot. Like, it's the Super Bowl for the other team. They get a chance to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. They're getting the other team's best shot. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. Mississippi State played a really good game last Saturday, guys. The quarterback was on. He was dropping dimes. Georgia had a couple of busts. No, Georgia should never give up 31 points to Mississippi State at home. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying, that's football. That's how it goes. And if you haven't learned yet that every single game is a completely new animal in itself, like Georgia losing to Alabama had nothing to do. It was a completely different animal from Georgia beating Kentucky 13-12. Was a completely different animal from Alabama losing to Vanderbilt and Georgia beating Auburn 31-13. This is college football. This is not pro football. Like I said, these are 18 to 23-year-old kids. They ride. A lot of what they do depends on their emotions. Okay, they're riding high one minute and they're really high one minute and they're really low the next minute. And any game is completely indicative of it's its own animal. Okay, we're going to see this weekend that Texas destroying less than par teams and Georgia not being able to put a complete game together for the first 6 games of the season is going to have nothing to do with this game. You cannot look at this game and say, well, Texas has looked really good against Mississippi State and UL Monroe and Colorado State and Michigan and Oklahoma, while Georgia has looked like they can't put a complete game together against Alabama and Clemson and Auburn and Mississippi State. You can't look at it like that. It's going to be It's going to be a completely different animal. It's going to go completely different than you expected. I truly think that this weekend is going to be a little bit of a shock to Texas's senses. I do. I think that they're going to go up against it. I mean, let's just call it, guys. I mean, I'm not trash talking here. I'm stating facts. The 4 teams with the best roster in the country is Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, and Georgia. These are the 4 best rosters in the sport right now. And so far, Texas hasn't seen anything comparable to that. Georgia has. Georgia has seen Alabama. Georgia has seen Clemson. Now Clemson isn't up there quite roster-wise with them, but Clemson has one of the best defenses in the country. You know, I'm saying, I think that this weekend is going to be a little bit of a shock to Texas. You know, whenever they face up, and Georgia has a lot of 6'6", 330-pound players, and we have athletes on the edge, and then we bring in the second string, and they're just as good, and then we bring in the third string, and they are almost as good. And I think it's just going to be a little bit of a shock to the senses. And everybody's going to be watching the game like, what's Texas doing? I mean, they've been beating everybody. 50-14, and Georgia's look like trash all year. I mean, Texas, what do? They suck? No, they don't suck. This is the 2 best teams in the country right now going at each other. I'm going to tell you right now, if Georgia wins this ball game, I will not be shocked. If Texas wins this ball game, I will not be shocked. Now, if Texas blew out Georgia, yes, I would be shocked. If Georgia blew out Texas, yes, I would be shocked. I think this is going to be I think when we make it to Sunday and Monday, we're going to be talking about this was no doubt the best game that we've seen all season. This is the best that college football has to offer. Again, the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs going on the road to play at number 1, Texas. Texas, you know, they have a pretty complete roster. Okay, Georgia, they have a pretty complete roster. You know, first string, second string, third string. The depth is just incredible. It's the greatest the sport has to offer. Texas has 2 really good quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. I think he's being just a little overhyped. I think sometimes he has some accuracy issues. Sometimes I think he gets a little bit of happy feet in the pocket and runs out when he doesn't necessarily need to. Okay, Carson Beck. He was tabbed as probably the Heisman favorite going into this season. He has looked less than stellar. You got to understand, guys, this is football. Okay, there's 11 guys on the field at one time. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. It seems that Georgia is still figuring out their complete offensive identity. And last week against Mississippi State, the passing game, especially the deep passing game, really came together. Now, the defense let us down a little bit with a couple of busts. We gifted Mississippi State 14 points. The game could have looked a lot different if we'd have had a little bit more eye discipline. Yes. Okay, do you think that Georgia is going to come into, even though they should treat every game the same, they're not going to. Do you think that Georgia is going to come in and play the same? Do you think that Georgia is going to play with the same level of intensity against Texas as they did against Mississippi State at home? Okay. Do you think that Texas is going to play with the same level of intensity as they played against Mississippi State as they are when they play Georgia? No, it's a completely different animal. It's a completely different game. I think this is going to be an absolute war. I know a lot of people probably going to think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. It's going to be a lot of people are going to say this is going to be a shootout. I don't see it being a shootout, but it's not going to be a low-scoring game. I think that it's going to be a very, very physical trench type of game, and I think that both teams are going to hit several shots. I think that both teams are going to try to establish a running game. Both teams are going to try to establish the lines of scrimmage, and then both teams are going to do a lot of play-action passing, and I think both teams will hit on several shots. I see this game being in the mid-30s. High 20s to low 30s on either side. You know, I could see Texas winning 30-24. I could see Georgia winning 30-24. I could see Texas winning 28-26. I could see Georgia winning 28-26. Somewhere in there is about how I expect this game to go. Now, Georgia hasn't played a complete game this year. It's obvious. Okay, we come out against Clemson. We don't look so great in the first half, and we come out in the second half and absolutely blow their doors off. Okay, Georgia one week will look really, really good on defense and look less than stellar on offense. There's been several just boneheaded mistakes. There's been a lot of times where Carson Beck has not looked like he can get on the same page with the wide receivers. Is that a Carson Beck problem? Is that a wide receiver problem? Is what I think it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of everything. There's a lot of Georgia fans right now that just cannot stand Mike Bobo, and for the life of me, I can't understand it. I understand what they're saying when they say that Mike Bobo's never won the big game and all this and that. But all the things that the Georgia fans are saying, I mean, what are you going to blame Mike Bobo for 41-31 against Mississippi State? Because Mike Bobo put up 41 points. Now, what about the defense? The only reason they're not blaming the defensive coordinator is because the Georgia fans don't know the name of the defensive coordinator. Georgia fans, for 75% of them, have predetermined that Mike Bobo is the issue, and no matter what the outcome of the game is, they're going to find a way to blame him. The only problem with that is I've seen several guys. I watch a lot of college football videos. Several guys, Brandon Adams, Brooks Austin, a lot of guys go and literally look up the numbers and the stats and the total points per game and the passing yards and the rushing yards. They've brought up every stat from when Mike Bobo was the offensive coordinator the first time to when Todd Monken and James Coley were the offensive coordinators, and now that Mike Bobo has now been the offensive coordinator for his second year again at his second stint at Georgia. And the only problem with what all these people are saying is what you're saying about Mike Bobo just doesn't add up with the actual scientific, with the actual factual data that's out there. Mike Bobo was averaging 41 points a game his first stint at Georgia. Brooks Austin broke down a stat and said everybody blames Mike Bobo for the Georgia not being able to break through and win a championship in the Mark Richt years. And he broke down he said, Brooks Austin said this stat. Did you know that when Georgia played a team inside the top 10, when Mike Bobo was offensive coordinator, the defense averaged giving up 38 to 45 points? If you're playing a top 10 team and you're giving up 38 to 45 points, you're not going to win the game. Now, also in these games, Georgia was also averaging scoring 38 to 45 points. Georgia was losing games like 49-45 against Florida. That's not an offensive coordinator problem, guys. And I don't think that Georgia has an offensive coordinator problem now. I truly think the deal is what I elaborated on at the beginning of the video. I think that this is a new age, a new era of college football, and everything is a lot more even than it used to be. Okay, the days of 7 teams being up here, and then 14 teams being right here, and then the rest of the 7,455 11 million teams down here, those days are over. The days of Georgia having 8 first rounders on the defensive side of the ball and dominating games, being up 35-3 at half. That's just not going to happen anymore, guys. And when it does happen, it's going to be really rare. It's going to be very few, far and in between. I'm telling you right now, I'm very, very pumped up about this game. I'm getting chills talking about it. I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous. I am worried that Georgia can lose this game. Also, I know that Georgia can win this game. Okay, anybody who is going to come to you and say they're not worried that their team can lose this weekend. We're going on the road to play the #1 Texas Longhorns, okay? Also, vice versa. Texas, I guarantee you the Texas fans right now, do you think that the Texas fans are looking up right now and saying, well, Georgia's ranked number 5, so, we are ranked number 1, so we should beat them. No, that number 5 beside Georgia's name means absolutely nothing to them right now. It may mean something to them when Georgia's playing Alabama. It may mean something to them when Georgia's playing Tennessee. They may say, oh, yeah, number 3 Georgia versus number 8 Tennessee. I guarantee you it doesn't mean anything this weekend. This is going to be the best game of the year. This could potentially be a rematch, or we could potentially see each other again in the SEC championship game, and we could potentially see each other again in the national championship game or the playoffs. Georgia could see Alabama again. Georgia could see Alabama 2 or 3 more times. Georgia could literally play Alabama again and Texas 2 more times. It's just crazy. It really is crazy how it works out. I'm trying to find a stopping point here. I don't know if I've done a good enough job in this video. A lot of times when I make a video, the videos that I think I did really good on, I'll go back and watch it and I'll think, yeah, this was okay. And a lot of times the videos that I think I didn't do a good job on, I go back and watch it and I'm thinking, wow, that was actually pretty informative. That was a pretty good video. I don't feel like I've done a great job in this video. You'll have to let me know in the comment section. But I think we're going to look back and this is going to be the greatest game of the regular season. I think this is going to be an absolute battle. I think it's going to be a 4-quarter football game. For all of you that think I'm a Disney dog and think that I think that Georgia's just going to win 50-0 every time, this is going to be a war. Okay, Georgia's going to go into hostile territory. It's going to be College game day is going to be there. It's going to be the biggest deal ever. They're going to be hyping up Texas. All you're going to hear this whole week is there's no way Georgia can win this game. There's no way that Georgia can go on the road and beat the #1 Texas Longhorns. Texas is just looks better right now. They're just hitting on all cylinders right now. Georgia cannot put together a complete game and all this and that mess. And I'm telling you, all the hype's going to settle, all the smoke's going to settle. They're going to get the cheerleaders and the band off the field, and they're going to kick the ball off. And it's going to be an absolute 4-quarter war. And somebody's going to come out on top by 7 points or fewer. I think it's going to be a really tight, close ball game. It's going to be a really good ball game. If Georgia expects to win this game, here's what I think for both sides, and I'll end the video. I'll give you my score prediction and we'll stop. If Texas is going to win this game, they're gonna have to play the best game of the year. They're gonna have to play the best game they're gonna play all year in the regular season, anyways. When we get into the SEC championship game and the national championship game, the playoffs, that'll all change. But as for the regular season, if Texas expects to beat Georgia this Saturday, they're going to have to play the best game that they've played all year. Minimal penalties. They're going to have to win the kicking game. They're going to have to punt us deep. They're going to have to flip the field. They're going to have to score touchdowns in the red zone. They're going to have to hold Georgia to field goals in the red zone. Texas has played complete games this year. Georgia hasn't. But Texas has played UL Monroe and Colorado State and Michigan. Georgia hasn't played complete games this year, but they played Alabama, Clemson, and Kentucky on the road. If Georgia expects to win this game this weekend, we're not going to be able to come out and have a slow start on offense in the first half and then explode in the second half. We're not going to be able to be really sharp on offense and the defense kind of let us down. It's going to have to be a full team effort on both sides. On both sides, for Georgia and Texas. Everybody's going to have to be sharp. Everybody is going to have to be on point. Everything's going to have to go right. You're going to have to get at least one bounce your way. Turnovers are going to be big in this game. Turnovers, literally, You go into some games, kind of like when Georgia goes on the road and plays a very, very, very undisciplined and uncharacteristically undisciplined Alabama team, and goes down 28-0 and turns the ball over 4 times. Alabama should have won that game 57-2, and Georgia comes back and takes the lead. Now, when you go in and you're playing, and there's 2 teams that are dead serious, like Georgia and Texas. You know, if Georgia threw 3 interceptions and had a fumble against Mississippi State, they should still win that game. If Texas threw 5 interceptions against Colorado State, yes, Texas should still win that football game. This is the type of game that literally 1 turnover can cost the game. 1 fumble, 1 botched snap, one time the quarterback's dropping back to pass and a defensive end goes and swats the ball down and gets a strip sack. 1 time that there's a deep shot and some safety picks the ball off. Yes, it can be the difference in this game. This is the type of game that's going to be, the margin of error is going to be razor thin. 1 team goes in, false starting 6 times. 1 team gives up 3 or 4 or 5 sacks. That can cost you the game. Both teams are going to have to be on point. This is going to be the best game of the college football season. I don't know what else to say about it. I feel like Georgia has played a lot of good teams. We've looked really good at times, and we've looked really bad at times. I think Texas has looked really good all season long. Whether it's Quinn Ewers, whether Quinn Ewers was hurt and Arch Manning was in. Now, I do think Texas is being overhyped just because of the name Manning on the team and just because it's something flashy and new here in college football. Texas is back. Texas is back. I just think they're being a little overhyped. Texas is back, but are they back enough to beat the Georgia Bulldogs? You know, this is the same team that's won 2 out of the last 3 national championships. You know, this is the same team that in their last 54 games, they're 51-3. This is the same team that just broke the record for most SEC wins in the regular season in a row at 28. This is the team that just won 42 straight regular season games. This is still the team that was the only team in SEC history to go undefeated 3 straight regular seasons. 12-0, 12-0, 12-0. This is still the team that has Kirby Smart. This is still the team that has Glenn Schumann. This is still the team that has probably one of the top tight end rooms in the game. You know, this is still the team that has the head coach that just broke the record for most wins through 100 ball games. Yes, even surpassing Nick Saban and Bear Bryant at Alabama. This is going to be a good game, y'all. I keep trying to find a stopping point, but I keep thinking of stuff. We're going to find out who Texas is and who Georgia is this weekend, because I'll be honest with you. What I expect to happen is I don't think that either team's going to play a bad game. I think that this is going to be, I think regardless of who wins or who loses, the national media, the narrative is going to be that Texas just played the best game of the year and Georgia just played their best game of the year. And I honestly do. I think this, even after this game's over, I think the narrative is also going to be that this is the 2 best teams in the country and they're going to play each other again. Now, with that being said, a little side note here, because I know, like the Georgia fans watch a lot of my videos, but then a lot of times other fan bases like Texas or Alabama, they're only going to see the videos I made about them because they're going to be on YouTube typing in Texas versus Georgia 2024 predictions. So they're only going to see this video. So I have to say this for the Texas fans. So if y'all made it to the end of the video, I appreciate it. I love y'all. Y'all hit subscribe. I think that Texas A&M is going to beat Texas at the end of the year. And I think that Georgia is going to play Texas A&M in the SEC championship game. That's what I think. Texas is looking real good this year. Them Georgia Bulldogs, they got to go down. They look terrible. Mike Bobo can't do nothing. He can't even call a play. You know, all Carson Beck does is pass for 460 yards against Mississippi State. And I tell you what, Georgia, they just can't play a solid game. They just can't put together a full 4 quarters. I don't know what we're going to do if we win a 3rd national championship in the last 4 years. All these records we're breaking, I just can't believe that we suck so bad. I can't understand why when Georgia is just being and accomplishing more than anybody's ever accomplished in college football history in the last 3 years. I just can't believe we're so terrible. The national media, oh, there's no way Georgia's going to come into a snake pit here. There's no way that Georgia can go down there and beat the #1 Texas Longhorns. Georgia's going to win this game 31-24. Y'all have a good day.